When anyone mentions a diesel car, most people think about fuel economy, or long distance driving, or even something that's good for towing things. But back in the late noughties, manufacturers started to sell them off as performance cars, which is where this comes in, the Golf GTD. The Mk6 wasn't the first quick diesel, but it was the first car to wear the GTD badge, and on paper, this should be the perfect car. But I want to find out if the reality matches that. I'm Jay Matto, and you're watching Ghattos Gears. So, the Golf GTI is apparently and subjectively one of the best cars ever made. It does everything. It's quick, it looks good, it's practical. However, some Golf GTI owners experience awful fuel economy, and that's a given. However, this badge is supposed to change that, and we're going to find out if it's actually worth it. Fast TDIs have been around for years, with the legendary PD130 being available in the Mark IV, along with the PD150. And the Mark V carried on with this with the Golf GT. That had 170 horsepower, and that suited the car really well. And it must have gone down so well that pretty much the same unit found its way into the Mk6, but it did manage to have a slight improvement on fuel economy, which is where the Golf GTD does shine. But it's not all about fuel economy. How does the car drive? Performance is obviously involved in this formula of making a performance diesel car, so it's not all about efficiency. So you get 170 horsepower standard, you get 350 newton meters of torque. Supposedly this car would go on to do 137 miles an hour and do 0 to 60 in 8.1 seconds. So yeah, not exactly slow, but again, the numbers don't particularly add up if you're trying to describe a performance car. If these numbers sound a little bit underwhelming to you, the good news is these engines take really well to a stage 1 engine remap, where you'll find the power jump up to around 220 horsepower. But more importantly, you'll find the torque rise to around 420 newton meters. And the torque is what makes you feel like you're going quickly, it's what puts you in the back of your seat. So the more of that, the better. But unfortunately, it's still going to sound like a tractor, but it's going to really improve the way the car drives. The GTD and the GTI appear almost identical, but I do think this car has some better angles than others. Right, we are going to talk about this rear end, because this, in my opinion, is the best angle of the Golf GTD. You get this lovely wing, tinted privacy glass from factory. These lights are essential. They make the car look so much more modern. This registration holder or reg plate area is definitely bigger. This is straight off the Golf GTI, which looks really nice, and you get a nice diffuser at the bottom. So the rear end is, yeah, it's tidy. It looks good. It looks aggressive. It looks pretty modern. It's 2010, this car still looks decent to me. And then coming to the front of the car, it's got a different front grille, which is a bit more of a mesh design with the GTD logo, and the front bumper is different. It's straight from a Mk6 Golf GTI, so you've got these lovely fogs. It's a bit deeper. It definitely looks better than the standard. If you spec your car right, you can get LEDs on the front, but this one hasn't got that. Still, I think it looks pretty good. And another thing that looks pretty good is this interior. The GTD gets these slightly bolstered seats, which are again pretty much identical to the GTI, but just in a much more subtle colourway, and you could get these leather and heated if you spec the car right. What's more, this flat bottom steering wheel feels great and really does help the car feel so much more sporty to drive. It's insane how much a steering wheel can change the way a car feels. And personally, I think this interior is aged really well for a 15-year-old car, despite having a few marks in places. This particular car is near 170,000 miles, and everything still works and still feels pretty solid in it. Even the steering wheel, for example, it's got very little wear, and for the age and the mileage, I think it's really impressive. Obviously, it's a little bit dated now from a tech point of view, and you've only got AUX, you've got no screens in a lot of the examples. But happily, the Mk6 has been around for so long now, there are plenty of different options to upgrade your in-car entertainment. Personally, I'd go for a factory-looking RCD 360 because they look nice and it suits the gap well, but if you're on a budget, £100 head units will do the job and some. But that's enough about the aesthetics, because the GTD has a few upgrades over the standard Golf to enhance how it drives, but does it? So this car, with its different brakes and its slightly sportier suspension to your normal Golf model, should feel a little bit more playful. It should be a little bit more exciting on a back road. Well, we've already established that the car feels fast enough, but what's more, the GTD's factory lowered suspension and tight body control really helps it feel pretty at home on a back road. The way the car's set up translates pretty well to the driver. It's actually pleasantly surprising. You've got quite a nice amount of torque to pull yourself out of the corners. The grip levels are quite good as well. It gives you quite a lot of confidence, and it's handling this road pretty well. The only thing it does lack, and it's
something you can't really change is the way it feels. It still doesn't feel particularly exciting. It feels good. I'm not exactly disappointed with how it's driving, but it doesn't feel very exciting. It feels confident. It feels like I'm in control. It feels me with confidence, but it doesn't feel exciting.
Now, what someone finds exciting is obviously pretty subjective, but the heavier front end of this 2-litre diesel engine does spoil the fun on a back road. Going forward a little bit more, another big problem with this car is the lack of noise, and I get it, it's a 2-litre diesel, it needs to be efficient, but I'm just saying it how it is. The lack of noise is a problem for a lot of people, especially buying it for a performance car. And this isn't me saying diesels don't sound good. You got BMW's M57 or even Audi's 3-litre TDI, which sound amazing. I'm a big fan, I think they sound awesome, but this one, no, it just doesn't cut it really.
Another super annoying thing about the GTD and any 2-litre TDI product is the DPF on these exhausts. These things can, and pretty often do, get clogged up when you do lots of short journeys. And when that happens, it's not an easy fix, and it's not an easy one to work out what you need to do. You can either take the DPF out completely, which is going to solve your problem and make your car perform a lot better. However, it's going to fail its MOT. Or you can go through the replacement process, which is not cheap, and you do run the risk of it happening again. The only thing you really can do to make sure this doesn't keep happening is use it for what it's meant for. It's a diesel, it's supposed to do a lot of miles. This particular car has done 20,000 miles since its last MOT, so touch wood, this one's okay. However, it can be a problem. And when you're looking on the second-hand market for any 2-litre TDI, have a good listen from the exhaust. Can you hear any hissing? Can you see any smoke coming out the back of it? These cars are at an age now where people have already taken them out and you might not know about it, and it can come back to bite you. So keep an eye out for it. This car here is a manual, which means it's got a dual mass clutch, and when they go, they're not exactly cheap to fix.
A new clutch and flywheel on these things can be near £1,000 or even a bit over, so make sure you do your checks when you test drive one.
Next thing, cam belt and water pump. They need to be done. Most of them probably will already have had them done at some point because they've all got a few miles on them now. If you go look at a car and there's no actual receipt to show the cam belt and water pump have been done, I take that as it's not been done, and you want to get that done as soon as you can. It's not too expensive a job, it depends where you go, it depends on the labour and all sorts of things. In the past I've paid between 600 and 700 quid. It's not the end of the world. If you're looking at one of these cars and it hasn't been done and it's done a few miles, get that at the top of your priority list. So should you just forget about the Mk6 and just save a little bit more money and go buy the Mk7? Maybe, it depends. This car can do everything a Mk7 can. It's quick, it looks good, however the Mk7 is quicker, it looks better, it's got cheaper tax, it is also ULEZ free, so depending on where you live, that might be a key factor. Personally with me, yeah, I'd get a Mk7. I'd spend a little bit more money and get a Mk7.
Despite the fact this is a great car, the Mk7's cheap tax and Euro 6 status make it a better buy for a lot of people.
So my closing statement for the Golf GTD is that if you buy one of these, you will be happy with it. As long as you're buying it as your daily driver, because yep, it's fairly quick, looks good, it will take 4 people, maybe squeeze in a 5th person, no problems, it's practical, it's good on fuel, they're quite cheap. You can pick one of these up now, £3,000, it might have some miles on it, but they're quite cheap now, and you'll have a car that will literally do most things, it will nearly do everything. But what you won't have is a sporty, fun, exciting performance car. That's just not what this is.
But what the GTD is a perfect compromise for anyone that enjoys driving quickly and needs something that feels fast but is cheap to run. At the start of this review, I asked if buying a GTD was even worth it. And to answer that question, I'll speak for the majority of a lot of drivers who spend 90% of the time driving normally, but every now and again want something that's quick and they can have a bit of fun in. For you, this car is a perfect compromise. But on the other hand, if you're a massive petrol head and you've always owned performance cars and you make the switch over to a GTD, I think you'll drive it, you'll probably enjoy it, but it probably won't be so long until you revert back and just buy a GTI. This has been Jay from Ghattos Gears, and if you made it this far, I want to say a big thank you for watching the whole video. I'll review whatever cars I can get my hands on, so there'll be more content on the way. If you've enjoyed this video, please feel free to like, share and subscribe, and leave a comment of what you want to see in the future.